I wasn't supposed to hear the toast. I was in the hallway, halfway between the bathroom and the kitchen, when my aunt's voice carried through the open doorway. "Well, at least we know who's really paying for all this." The room erupted in laughter. My pulse stopped. My stomach dropped. Everything around me seemed to slow down. My brother lifted his glass, grinning like he'd just told the world's best joke. "Yeah," he said, "thank God for my sister. She's basically our safety net." More laughter, clinking glasses. Someone shouted, "Cheers to that." I stood there, frozen in that hallway, my hand still on the doorframe, while my family celebrated a home I didn't know I'd bought. The betrayal hit me like cold water. That's when I realized this party wasn't about family. It was a receipt. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you never miss our upcoming videos. I couldn't move. My feet felt glued to that spot in the hallway while the party continued like nothing had happened. The music kept playing, people kept laughing, glasses kept clinking, but I was somewhere else entirely. I forced myself to walk back into the room, smile plastered on, heart racing. That's when I started noticing things I'd missed before. The way guests would whisper when I walked by, then immediately stop talking. The way they'd glance at me, then quickly look away. My brother was at the center of the room, telling some story about renovations and design choices, but every time I tried to catch his eye, he'd turn to someone else. My mother was by the food table. When someone asked her about the financing, she laughed it off and changed the subject so fast I almost didn't catch it. But I did. My aunt was near the window, and when our eyes met, she smiled. Not a warm smile, a knowing smile. They all knew. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking. 3 notifications from my banking app, same credit card, all labeled pending. Catering, $847. Event coordination, $650. Decorations and rental furniture, $912. I hadn't authorized a single charge, but there they were, processing, already deducted from my available credit. I scrolled further back. More charges from weeks ago, months ago. A deposit I didn't recognize, an invoice for custom furniture, a payment to a contractor. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped my phone. I looked up. Everyone was still celebrating, still drinking, still enjoying themselves in a home they thought my brother had earned. I had no idea how deep this went, but standing there, watching them toast to his success with my money, I knew one thing. This had been going on for months, and I was about to find out exactly what they'd been planning. I left the party early, made up some excuse about not feeling well. No one seemed to care. On the drive home, my mind raced through every time I'd said yes when I should have said no. It started years ago. My brother dropped out of college halfway through junior year, told everyone he needed time to find himself, but what he really needed was someone to cover his apartment lease for 3 months so he wouldn't get evicted. I sent the money the same day he called. He promised he'd pay me back once he figured things out. He never did. When my parents decided to downsize, they didn't ask if I could help with the moving costs. They just told me how much the movers wanted and waited for me to offer. So I did. I paid for the moving company, the deposit on their new place, the storage unit for everything they couldn't fit. The storage bill still comes to my account every month. It's been 3 years. When my sister's car broke down, she didn't even call to ask. She just texted me the mechanic's estimate and her Venmo handle. I sent it within the hour. When my cousin needed dental work and didn't have insurance, somehow my number was the one everyone had. Just this once, they said. It was never just once. Emergencies became a pattern. My phone would ring and I'd already know what they wanted before I even answered. No one ever asked if I wanted to help. They asked how fast I could send it. And I always did. Because that's what you do for family, right? You show up, you help, you don't keep score. Except somewhere along the way, I stopped being a person to them. I became a resource, a backup plan, a credit line with a heartbeat. I'd lie awake some nights, exhausted, wondering why I was the only one who seemed to worry about money, why I was the only one who couldn't take vacations or splurge on anything without feeling guilty. And then I'd feel awful for even thinking that way. Because family helps family. That's what I told myself, over and over, until I heard them laughing about it at that party, until I realized they weren't calling me family. They were calling me their safety net. I sat in my car in my driveway for almost an hour that night. I couldn't bring myself to go inside, couldn't turn off my brain. I kept replaying that toast, that laugh, the casual way they joked about me funding their lives like it was some inside joke I was supposed to be in on. That's when I opened my email. I don't know why. Maybe I was looking for something to explain it. Maybe I just needed a distraction. That's when I saw it. A family email chain I'd been added to 8 months ago. The subject line, backup plan, just in case. I'd never opened it. I'd assumed it was just another group thread full of birthday reminders and holiday plans. I clicked. The thread was massive. Dozens of messages going back almost a year. My mother had started it. The first email was dated 11 months ago. It was a simple message. Let's start planning ahead so we're not scrambling last minute. Here's what we have coming up. Underneath was a list. Dad's 60th birthday trip, kitchen renovation for brother's house, sister's wedding expenses, summer family vacation. And next to each item, in neat little columns, were names. Payment responsibilities. Primary, secondary, backup. My name appeared under backup for almost everything. But the more I scrolled, the more I realized backup didn't mean what I thought it meant. In most cases, I was listed as primary. Dad's birthday trip to the coast, deposit already charged to my card. Brother's kitchen renovation, contractor payment scheduled for next month, my card on file. Sister's wedding venue, down payment made 3 weeks ago, my account. Even the family vacation they were planning for next summer, flights, hotels, rental cars, activities, all assigned to me. I scrolled faster, my heart pounding. There were notes in the thread, little comments. She'll cover it, just add her card, she won't notice. She never checks her statements carefully anyway. One message from my brother, dated 2 months ago. I'll tell her about the renovation after it's done. Easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, right? My aunt had replied with a laughing emoji. But the message that broke me was from my mother. It was the very first reply in the thread, sent 11 months ago. She won't say no. She never does. Let's just be smart about how we space things out so she doesn't get overwhelmed. I read it 3 times. Then I scrolled through the entire thread again. They'd planned everything, timed everything, coordinated who would ask me for what and when, so I wouldn't catch on to how much I was actually funding. They'd turned my generosity into a budget line, and not one of them had ever planned to tell me. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every request, every time I'd felt a little pang of resentment and pushed it down because family comes first. Part of me wanted to call them right then, scream at them, demand answers. But another part of me knew that wouldn't work. They'd make excuses, they'd twist it, they'd say I misunderstood or took things the wrong way. They'd make me feel guilty for even bringing it up. No, if I was going to do this, I needed to do it my way. I spent the next 2 days going through my bank statements. Every charge, every transfer, every payment I'd made to or for my family over the last 5 years. I made a list. Then I made a spreadsheet. Then I sat with it and realized the number at the bottom was more than I'd saved for my own future. I'd funded their lives and delayed mine. And they knew. They knew, and they did it anyway. By the 3rd day, I'd made my decision. I wasn't going to send a text. I wasn't going to schedule some sit-down intervention where they'd have time to prepare their excuses and get their story straight. I was going to let them tell me the truth themselves, in front of everyone. I kept rehearsing it in my head. What if they denied it? What if they lied? What if they turned it around and made me the villain? I thought about calling my brother first, giving him a chance to come clean. But then I remembered that email. Easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. No, they didn't get a warning. They didn't get a chance to spin the story first. Sunday dinner was in 3 days. I'd wait. Sunday dinner at my parents' house. Everyone was there. My brother, my sister, my aunt, a couple of cousins, even a family friend who'd known us for years. The same people who'd been at that party. The same people who'd laughed. I arrived on time, smiled, hugged everyone like nothing was wrong. My mother kept glancing at me like she was trying to figure out if I was upset about something. I wasn't upset. I was done. We sat down to eat, the usual small talk, the usual jokes. My brother was in a particularly good mood. Halfway through the meal, he cleared his throat and tapped his glass with a fork. "So," he said, that confident smile spreading across his face, "I've got some good news." Everyone leaned in. My mother's eyes lit up. My sister grinned. I booked a trip. For all of us. A whole week in the mountains. Cabins, hiking, bonfires, the whole thing. Figured we could all use a break. My mother clapped her hands together. My sister gasped. My aunt smiled wide. "Oh my God, that's amazing," my sister said. "When?" my mother asked. "End of next month. Everything's already booked. Deposits are in. We're all set." Everyone started talking at once, excited, grateful, talking about what to pack and what activities they wanted to do. I set down my fork. The sound made everyone stop. "That sounds incredible," I said. My voice was calm, steady. My brother beamed. "Right? I can't believe I actually pulled it off." I tilted my head slightly. "Which card did you use for the deposit?" The table went quiet. My brother blinked. "What?" "The deposit," I said again, slower. "Which card did you use?" He glanced at my mother, then at my father. His smile faded just a little. I mean, we talked about this." "We didn't." The silence stretched. Someone shifted in their chair. My aunt looked down at her plate. My brother cleared his throat. "Well, I use the one we usually use, for family stuff." "The one we usually use," I repeated. "You mean my card." No one said anything. I let the silence sit for a moment. Then I asked, "How many cabins did you book?" "4," he said quietly. "And did you book one for me?" Another pause. He looked at my sister, then back at me. We figured you'd want to share with..." "You planned a family trip," I said, my voice still calm, "using my money, and didn't include a space for me?" My mother finally spoke, her voice tight. "Honey, it's not like that." "Then what is it like?" She opened her mouth, closed it, looked at my father. No one had an answer. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I unfolded it slowly. Let them see the columns, the dates, the amounts. "This," I said, holding it up, "is everything I've paid for in the last 5 years, for all of you." My brother's face went pale. Rent, tuition, moving costs, car repairs, medical bills, deposits, renovations. I set the paper on the table. It adds up to just over $73,000. My sister's mouth fell open. And according to the family email chain I was added to, I pulled out my phone. "You've been planning this for almost a year, coordinating who asks me for what, timing it so I wouldn't notice how much I was actually covering." My mother's face flushed red. "We were going to tell you." "When? After the trip? After the renovation? After the wedding?" No one answered. "You know what the worst part is? It's not the money. It's that you all sat around and joked about it. You toasted to it. You called me your safety net like it was funny. My aunt looked away. And not one of you ever asked if I was okay with it. I stood up. Enjoy your dinner, but you'll need to find a new safety net. I walked out before anyone could respond. I didn't cry on the drive home. I didn't feel sad. I felt light. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I'd already opened my banking app. I called the bank first, disputed every charge I hadn't personally authorized. Then I went through every shared account, every family payment app, every auto pay they'd quietly added me to over the years. One by one, I removed my card. It took hours. My phone started ringing before I even finished. My brother's name lit up the screen. I declined the call. Then my mother. Declined. My sister. Declined. The text messages started pouring in. We need to talk. You're overreacting. This is a huge misunderstanding. You're being unreasonable. How could you do this to us? I turned off my notifications. I didn't owe them an explanation. They never gave me one. By the end of the week, the trip was canceled. The contractor called my brother about the canceled payment. My sister's venue sent a reminder about the outstanding balance. Everything they'd built on my credit started crumbling, and I watched it happen in silence. I didn't reach out. I didn't apologize. I didn't try to fix it. For the first time in years, their emergencies weren't mine. It's been 4 months now. The messages slowed after the first few weeks. The calls stopped entirely. My brother sent one final text about 3 weeks ago. I didn't realize you were this selfish. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Because here's what I learned. For years, I thought I was helping my family. I thought I was being generous, supportive, loving. But I wasn't helping them. I was enabling them. I was teaching them that my boundaries didn't matter, that my money wasn't really mine, that their wants were more important than my needs. And they weren't treating me like family. They were treating me like a bank account with a heartbeat. The hardest part wasn't cutting them off. It was realizing how long I'd let it happen, how many times I'd ignored the signs because I didn't want to believe the people I loved could use me like that. But they did. And when I finally said no, they didn't ask why. They didn't try to understand. They just got angry that the money stopped. My savings account has grown for the first time in years. Last month, I booked a trip, just for me, somewhere I've always wanted to go. I'm sleeping better now. I'm not waking up at 3 in the morning wondering which emergency I'll have to fund next. I go out for coffee without checking my account balance first. I buy things I want without the guilt. Small victories, but they feel enormous. When I think about that party now, about the toast I wasn't supposed to hear, I don't feel angry anymore. I feel grateful, because that moment, as painful as it was, gave me something I'd been missing for a long time: clarity. I didn't lose a family. I stopped financing one. And honestly, that's the best investment I ever made. The investment in myself, in my future, in the life I actually want to live, instead of the one I was paying for everyone else to have. So if you were in my place, would you have spoken up sooner, or would you have kept paying to keep the peace? Let me know in the comments below.